4 billion kilometers from the Sun, past the warmth of Mars, past the crushing fury of Jupiter, past the frozen elegance of Saturn, past even the tilted madness of Uranus, there is a world so distant that sunlight takes over 4 hours to reach it, arriving as little more than a pale whisper of the brilliance we know. From here, our Sun is just another star, a bright point in an ocean of blackness, offering no comfort, no warmth, no hope. Out here, in the frozen cathedral of the outer solar system, something enormous moves through the dark, wrapped in a sapphire shroud so beautiful it could make you weep. But beauty, this far from home, is always a lie. This is Neptune, the dark storm at the edge of space. To the casual observer peering through a backyard telescope, Neptune is barely visible, a faint blue dot trembling against the black, serene and jewel-like, almost peaceful. It appears gentle, a frozen marble suspended in eternal stillness, the quiet sibling at the far end of the cover, solar family. But Neptune is not quiet. It is not gentle. It is a screaming, raging monster wrapped in the most violent atmosphere in the known solar system. A world where winds exceed 2,100 kilometers per hour, faster than the speed of sound on Earth, faster than any hurricane, any tornado, any force our fragile planet has ever produced. Neptune doesn't whisper. It howls. The very color that makes Neptune so breathtaking is itself a mystery we have never fully solved. We know methane in the upper atmosphere absorbs red light and reflects blue, but methane alone cannot account for that deep, vivid, almost electric azure. Something else is happening. Some unknown compound or atmospheric process is painting this world in a shade of blue that has no complete explanation. We look at Neptune and we see beauty, but what we are really seeing is a question, one that has haunted planetary scientists for decades, unanswered and unsettling. Neptune was born in violence. Current models suggest it did not form where it now orbits. Instead, it was likely forged much closer to the Sun, in the chaotic, debris-choked disk of the early solar system, before gravitational interactions with the other giant planets hurled it outward into the cold. As it migrated, it carved a path of destruction, scattering countless planetesimals, flinging some into the inner solar system as bombardments of rock and ice, banishing others into the eternal exile of the Oort cloud. Neptune did not settle into its orbit. It murdered its way there, reshaping the architecture of the entire solar system in the process. The late, heavy bombardment, that cataclysmic rain of asteroids that scarred the Moon and battered the young Earth nearly 4 billion years ago, may have been Neptune's doing. Imagine descending into that sapphire atmosphere. At first, you would see only blue, an endless, featureless sky stretching in every direction. But as you fall, the pressure begins to climb. Within minutes, it would crush a submarine. The temperature drops to minus 220 degrees Celsius in the upper clouds, cold enough to freeze nitrogen solid, cold enough to make steel as brittle as glass. Then, as you plunge deeper, something impossible happens. It gets hotter. The temperature begins to rise, climbing hundreds of degrees as the pressure mounts to tens of thousands of atmospheres. You would not survive. Nothing we have ever built would survive. Your vessel would be compressed, heated, and obliterated, swallowed without a trace. And then there are the storms. In 1989, when Voyager 2 made its historic and only flyby of Neptune, it discovered the Great Dark Spot, an anticyclonic storm the size of Earth, churning in the southern hemisphere, with winds measured at nearly 2,400 kilometers per hour, the fastest ever recorded on any planet. But when the Hubble Space Telescope looked again in 1994, the Great Dark Spot was gone, vanished. Not slowly dissipating like Jupiter's ancient red spot, but simply erased, as though Neptune had swallowed it whole. Then another dark spot appeared in the northern hemisphere. Neptune creates and destroys its own apocalyptic weather systems with a casual indifference that defies our understanding. We do not know why. We do not know how a world receiving so little solar energy can generate such incomprehensible fury. Deep beneath the visible clouds, in the crushing abyss of Neptune's interior, physics bends toward the surreal. At pressures millions of times greater than Earth's surface, methane molecules are torn apart, their carbon atoms stripped free and compressed with such unimaginable force that they crystallize. It rains diamonds on Neptune, not as metaphor, not as poetry, but as literal scientific theory, confirmed by laboratory experiments recreating those hellish conditions. Diamonds, possibly the size of icebergs, falling like hailstones through an ocean of superheated, superpressurized fluid that is neither liquid nor gas, sinking toward a rocky core estimated at 1.2 times the mass of Earth. A core burning at temperatures near 5,100 degrees Celsius, hotter than the surface of the Sun. Neptune holds court over 14 known moons, but its largest, Triton, is perhaps the most disturbing satellite in the solar system. Triton orbits backward, retrograde, the only large moon to do so, a dead giveaway that it was not born alongside Neptune, but captured, violently, ripped from its original trajectory in the Kuiper Belt by Neptune's gravitational jaws. The capture would have been catastrophic, generating tidal forces so extreme they likely melted Triton's interior entirely, boiling it from the inside out. Today, Triton is a frozen corpse, its surface a hellscape of nitrogen ice at minus 235 degrees Celsius, the coldest measured surface in the solar system. Yet even in death, it defies stillness. Voyager 2 photographed geysers of nitrogen gas erupting 8 kilometers into Triton's thin atmosphere, dark plumes streaking across the surf, ice like bruises. And Triton is doomed. Its retrograde orbit is decaying. In perhaps 3.6 billion years, Neptune's gravity will drag it past the Roche limit, and Triton will be torn apart, shredded into a ring system that may briefly rival Saturn's before it, too, is consumed. Only one human machine has ever visited Neptune. Voyager 2 arrived on August 25, 1989, after a 12-year journey across the solar system, traveling at over 60,000 kilometers per hour. It had mere hours to study this world before its trajectory carried it away forever, out of the solar system entirely, into interstellar space. Everything we know about Neptune up close, every detailed image, every magnetic reading, every atmospheric measurement, comes from that single, fleeting encounter. One spacecraft, one pass, one chance. and then silence. No mission is currently en route. No probe orbits its storms. Neptune remains, after more than 3 decades, essentially unvisited, essentially unknown. It radiates 2.6 times more energy than it receives from the Sun. Something inside Neptune is generating heat, but we do not fully understand what. Gravitational compression, residual formation energy, perhaps something else entirely, some process we have not yet imagined. This world keeps its secrets buried under thousands of kilometers of screaming wind and crushing pressure, locked away in a darkness so complete that no camera has ever penetrated it. Neptune orbits the Sun once every 164.8 Earth years. A single season lasts over 40 years. When it was discovered in 1846 through mathematics before it was ever seen through a telescope, it had not yet completed one orbit by the time Voyager arrived. It has completed only one full orbit since its discovery. We have watched this world for less than a single Neptunian year, a blink in the life of a planet that has been raging in the dark for 4.5 billion years. Out there, beyond the reach of our warmth, beyond the reach of our light, Neptune turns. It does not care that we found it. It does not care that we named it after a god of the sea. It was ancient before our species drew its first breath, and it will be screaming in the dark long after every trace of humanity has turned to dust. We built one small machine. We sent it once. It flew past in hours and never returned. And Neptune simply continued, churning, freezing, raging, alone at the edge of everything we know. A blue jewel wrapped in violence, beautiful and terrible, and utterly, eternally indifferent.